Hi everyone and welcome back to another video on my channel. This is week 3 of my Bake Off technical challenges Bake Along, and last week was Bread Week on Bake Off. Now, Bread Week is personally my favourite week. Like Paul always says, people who do well in Bread Week tend to do well in the whole competition, and I do agree with that. And yeah, Bread Week's so much fun, I love it. I was actually therefore really disappointed with this week's choice of technical challenge. I was very much looking forward to making something savoury, a really nice, something like just a really good bread. I don't know if you remember last year's technical challenge. It was ciabatta breadsticks filled with like manchego cheese, olives, they were so good. I have the recipe on my blog, so I'll link it below. Definitely would recommend trying making those. Make them instead of these pain raisins that I'm making today. But yeah, that's why I was expecting something similar. But no, what did Paul choose? Pain au raisin, which I believe are, that's pastry to me, that's French patisserie, that's not bread. Yes, it can be made with a dough, leavened with yeast to start with, but I don't think it's bread. Maybe I'm the only one who felt so strongly about this week's technical challenge and just thought, no, this is not Bread Week. But oh well, I've challenged myself to do all these technical challenges this year again. So here I am in week 3, Bread Week, making pain raisin. Anyway, let's see how it goes. Right, okay, so the first step is to weigh out 350 grams of strong bread flour, and then I also have 250 grams of butter, 200 as a big block, which I will use later, and 50 grams that I've cut up into small cubes. And I'm going to start off by rubbing the cube butter into the flour until it resembles breadcrumbs, and then I'll add some golden caster sugar, salt and yeast before doing the wet ingredients. Okay, so my mixture now resembles breadcrumbs. It was actually 25 grams of butter, not 50, so I managed to take some out again and hopefully save it. But I also realised that, so I hadn't checked how much yeast I had left because I just assumed I'd have 7 grams. I only had 4 grams, so hopefully this will still work. It might just be that I need to wait a little bit longer for them to puff up, but should be fine. Anyway, so now that those are the dry ingredients, I'm now going to add the wet ingredients, which is 125 grams of full fat milk, 50 ml of warm water, and then I'm also going to add 1 egg, and I'm going to add that into the liquid, whisk it all up, and then add it to my bowl. And then I will knead my dough for about 5 minutes or so until nice and smooth. Okay, so I have made the dough. It was indeed very sticky. I used my dough scraper actually to knead it, and I wrapped it in cling film now and put it in the fridge to chill for an hour. And then the next thing that we'll do is take this big block of butter that's left, put it in between 2 sheets of baking paper, and then I'm going to bash it out with my rolling pin to make a square. What's it saying? 33, a rectangle of 33 by 19 centimeters. So I'll do that, and then I just need to wait for the dough to chill before I can do the next step. Right, okay, so it's been an hour. My dough is out of the fridge now. I'm going to roll it out on a lightly floured surface into a big rectangle, and then place my chilled slab of butter on top and do my first fold. And yeah, then it goes back in the fridge. Okay, so that's the butter inserted into my pastry, the first fold done, and now it's in the fridge to chill for 20 minutes, and then I will do another fold. But in the meantime, I'm going to make the creme pat because I want that to have plenty of time to chill and become quite firm in the fridge. So what I'm going to do for that is whisk together some egg yolks, caster sugar and corn flour with a little bit of milk in a bowl, and the rest of the milk, there's about 250 mils, I am going to gently heat on the hob until it's warm. And then you pour your milk into your egg mixture, being very careful not to accidentally cook or curdle the eggs, and then it goes back into the pot until thickened. So that's what I'm going to do. They also said to add half of a vanilla pod, the seeds, but I don't have a vanilla pod. Instead, I'm going to use this vanilla bean paste. Very expensive stuff, but if you use it in moderation, then it lasts for quite a long time. So I'm going to add half a teaspoon, or teaspoon, I'll see how I feel, of the vanilla bean paste to the milk instead. So yeah, that's the next step. So my creme pat is done. I'm very happy with it. It's nice and thick. I've poured it into a shallow bowl, and then it's very important that you cover the top with cling film just to make sure that no skin forms on top of your creme pat. And I'm just going to leave that to cool now for a couple minutes and then chill it in the fridge. And yeah, by this stage my dough is also already ready for its second turn. So I'm going to get that out and do that. Okay, so I've rolled my dough out again into a 50 by 20 centimeter rectangle. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the short end of the dough that's closest to me, fold it over a third of the dough. Just going to brush off some of my excess flour, and then I'm going to take the top third and fold it over the middle. And then again get rid of some of the flour and sort of press down the sides of the dough to seal the edges. And then all I have to do is wrap this all up in cling film again and put it back into the fridge again for 20 minutes. Okay, so the time has come for the final fold and the filling. So I've got my pastry out of the fridge. I'm now going to roll it out again to 20 by 50 centimeters, fold it, and then roll it into a big 30 centimeter square. So my dough is rolled out to a 30 by 30 centimeter square. I'm now going to just quickly stir this creme pat a little bit and then spread it in an even layer over the top of my pastry. And then I'm going to sprinkle on top 100 grams of raisins, a little bit of cinnamon, and then also some orange zest. So I'm just grating my orange over the top with this microplane grater. I actually got that from one of the bake-off boxes. This was probably one of the best pieces of equipment I ever got from that. I love it, and it's really, really good. So even if you don't have a microplane grater yourself, that is something I would highly recommend investing in. Okay, right, so that's done. Now for the fun bit, scary bit, which is the rolling up. So it just says to firmly roll Wait, starting from the edge furthest away from you. Okay. Roll the dough towards you in a spiraled sausage shape, keeping it as tight as possible. Okay. When you reach the end, roll the sausage back and forth a few times to seal the joint. And then cut into 12. Okay, let's see if we can do this. So I now have all my 12 pain au raisin cut and on the baking trays. I actually, although I did leave a border, still get a little bit of spillage of the filling at the end. And once I cut it, I always find that difficult, like all the filling oozes out. But what I've done is I've actually tried to stuff some of the filling back into some of them that looked a bit empty. And now what I'm going to do is leave them for an hour to prove, and then I'll bake them. And there's a little bit of excess custard that came out, which I'm now going to try. Wow, oh, that's so good. Really vanilla-y custard, orange zest, grapes, raisins, cinnamon. Well, this is a really naughty treat. Wow, okay, I shouldn't have any more. So good. Right, okay, I'm gonna leave them now for an hour to prove and bake. So it's a few hours later. I have got my pain au raisin out of the oven. They look quite good. I mean, some, like the end bits are not that great, like it's quite small. But I have a few that look really nice and they don't seem to have any tails. The pastry seems nice and crisp. So yeah, I'm actually really looking forward to trying these. But first, the final touch is to add a bit of orange icing. So by that I just mean to add some orange juice from the orange we zested earlier to some icing sugar and mixing that up. So the original recipe said to use 200 grams of icing sugar, which I think is quite a lot and I don't want to waste anything. So I'm actually going to only use 150 and see if that's enough. And I'm also going to, very professionally, I think, put my orange juice through a sieve so that there's no bits in it. And then I'm just going to make my icing, put it into a piping bag using my neat little trick with my glass that everyone who watches my videos has seen 100 times before, and then drizzle the icing over my pain au raisin. And here we have it, 12, ooh, they almost slipped, iced pain au raisin. I also know that a pain au raisin normally does not have any icing on it, or at least not the ones that I've ever seen when I've been in France. So if you're French and you think this is awful that I've iced them, just to let you know, this is not my recipe, blame Paul. But yeah, anyway, I've iced them all. I also have loads of icing left, so again, don't use 200 grams of icing sugar. I think you can even get away with 100. So I will amend the recipe accordingly on my blog, since I always upload like my own version of the recipe. So make sure to check that out and follow that. But yeah, I'm just gonna leave these now for the icing to set, and then I think we'll have a wee taste test. Okay, right. So here's the finished result. Here's my chief taste tester. So these are the best ones.
They do look good. They look so good.
They were the ones that made the photo. Yeah, so this one got a wee bit caught. But we won't look at that one. But yeah, so there's also this one that I cut for the photo. So do you want to try that?
Yeah.
See if it's any good. Hopefully the pastry's good.
I should get the plate.
This is a lovely one. I see. Pudding comes over here. Well,
Good lamination.
good lamination. Look at those layers. I like that. I'm normally not a big fan of pan raisin, and I don't think they taste like the ones in France, but they taste good.
They taste good. They're not overly sweet, are they? They're not
Yeah, it's nice.
not like too sweet.
I agree. But are they bread? That is the question. And yes, I'm still bitter about it. Anyway, that was Bread Week's technical challenge. As always, I'll leave the recipe, my version of the recipe on my blog. Fingo's gonna eat the rest of this, and we'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.